Peace, love, light, always balance darkness and chaos when it arises. I always feel like I want to come with a conversation about sickle cell in a way that is almost taboo. I feel like it's taboo. However, it doesn't really matter at this point because it's just all perspective, and through experience, that's how we can share our perspectives. There's a very close connection, I feel, that people with sickle cell have to spirit, and that main reason for me looking at it like that is through the blood. I'm still reading about different aspects and understandings of this genetic switch that we have. And one thing that I realize is it being the first molecular discovery and it being talked about, I feel like it's more talked about in the medical world. And I think it's time. And it's showing the times. The times are showing that we are allowed to speak about it outside of the medical world. I was looking at some statistics. And I'm from Canada, Ontario, and I realized that the statistics for people living with sickle cell anemia in Canada is about, I would say, 6,000. Maybe 8,000. I would say 6,000 to 10,000, looking at the numbers that are shared on the World Wide Web. It's a pretty low statistic if we are comparing other statistics, like in the States, for example, where it's much higher, or even places in South America like Brazil, which I was surprised that the stats are very high there as well. It doesn't really matter. It does matter, actually. I was going to say that for Canada, even though the stats are low, I was going to say it doesn't matter how low the stats are. We still matter. We all matter, right? However, in Nigeria, it's a very, very high number. And that's where it brings me back to the connection we all have. And everyone has a connection. The human race has a connection. But it gets deeper, even with blood types. Generations, genetics, genes, as they call it, science. And although that's a certain language that things can be described and explained, there is also a spiritual language, and I do feel like I'm coming from that side more than anything. And it's not to discredit the science. It's not to discredit research that's being put into us. It's just more of giving space for us to speak on an emotional level, bringing our emotional intelligence into what we go through, what we experience, and what we face.